Good morning, everybody. I am excited to be with you today for our next part of our lesson. We are learning about how to read a bar graph. Bar graphs are the next step up from a picture graph. A picture graph is where we take data, we ask questions, and we put little pictures inside the graph to show how many answers there were. A bar graph takes those answers and turns it into a straight, solid bar. So that's what we're going to be working on today.
How can you read a bar graph to find the number that a bar shows? Emma's class made this picture graph. What question could Emma's class answer using the graph? First, what information does the graph show? The graph shows how many children are wearing each of two kinds of sneaker. Those with laces and those with no laces. Each circle stands for one child. So Emma's class could answer a question about the number of students wearing one type of sneaker. For example, how many children are wearing sneakers with laces? You can count the number of circles to help you answer the question. Click to count the circles in the laces row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 circles in this row. So how many children are wearing sneakers with laces? 8. There are 8 children wearing sneakers with laces. In a bar graph, each bar shows information. You can compare the lengths of the bars. How can you tell the length of the bar for markers? To read a bar graph, look at the end of a bar, then look down from that bar to see the number. Let's do this for the markers row. In the row for markers, look at the end of the red bar. Find the line at the end of the bar. Then follow that line down to the number 6. So what does the red bar show you? It shows that 6 children chose markers. This bar graph needs a title. What clues help you write a title for a bar graph? You can use the labels to help you. The label for the rows is art tools. The label for the numbers is number of children. The row and number labels tell us that this graph shows the number of children who chose different art tools. Use what you've learned to select the best title for the graph. The choices are art tools in room, number of children in art class, and art tools we like. Select your answer. That's right. The best title is Art Tools We Like. The graph shows the number of children who chose markers, paintbrushes, and crayons as their favorite art tool.
Here we go. So what I want us to do today is take a look at this bar graph.
Oh, yeah.
And I want us to order the vehicles from most to least votes.
Okay.
And I want us to write 1 for the most votes and 3 for the least votes.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Woo-hoo-hoo!
All right, so let's take a look. So here's the bar graph, and we see the favorite vehicles. That's what we're going to be looking at.
Okay.
The number of children that picked each one of these: car, truck, or dump truck. And the way you read the bar graph is you see where the color ends, and the color ends at a number, and that represents, in this case 2, the number of children that actually pick the car as their favorite vehicle.
Wow.
And here with truck, you see that blue goes all the way up to 5, which means that 5 children actually pick the truck as their favorite. And then the dump truck, you can see, goes all the way up to the top there, which if you go over, you see represents 6. So that's how you read a bar graph.
Oh, that's neat.
So just all that image really is capturing this information. It's capturing the fact that there are 2 votes for the car, 5 votes for the truck, and 6 votes for the dump truck.
Neat.
So if we want to actually look at the most votes all the way down to the least votes, which is what we want to do, the most most votes is going to be the bar that's the highest, or the votes that are the greatest number, which in this case is the dump truck.
The dump truck.
And we're going to call the most votes, we're going to call that number one. And that's why you hear, we're number one, we're number one.
Oh, yeah, Roxas is number one.
All right. So we write one, and that means that's the most popular.
Okay.
And then the least popular is going to be the bar that's the shortest, which in this case, we can look at the numbers and see the number that's the smallest, which we see is represented by the cars. So we're going to actually write the 3 because they came in third place.
I see.
And then what's in the middle? Well, the trucks got 5 votes, and you can see that bar is actually between these 2 bars in terms of the height. And so therefore, we see that we've ordered from most votes to least votes, and we called the most votes number 1, and then number 2, and then third place number 3. In this case, is represented by the cars. So it's interesting that even though the trucks got a bigger number of votes, when we write them in kind of order of preference, it's first, second, and third. And that's how we look at bar graphs.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. First, second, and third. Oh, Professor Berger, I just love bar graphs.
Great.
All right. Looking at a similar bar graph to what we just saw in Math on the Spot, remember, we're using the bar graph to solve the problem. Today's lesson, remember, is learning how to read a bar graph. So here we see the car. If we come all the way up to the very top line and come where it ends, we come straight across, we're at 6. So 6 children chose a car as their favorite vehicle. Now the dump truck. We come up to this line. That's where the line ends, the bar. Come all the way over, 5. 5 children chose dump truck as their favorite vehicle. And the truck, 2. Come over here. 2 children chose truck as their favorite vehicle. So the question says, order the vehicles from the least to the most. Least means the smallest. Most means the biggest. So the smallest amount of votes and the most amount of votes. Well, this has truck, car, dump truck. Now remember, least to most votes. So truck definitely has the least votes, right? The car, does the car have the next most? Or does it have the most? It has the most, so we have to cross that out. Well, we've got the truck again. Definitely the smallest amount of votes. The dump truck, the dump truck is next. Then the car, let's double check here. Car, this is most to least. We want least to most.
You did it.
Use the bar graph to answer the question.
Okay. How our jackets are fastened. That's the title. That's the question that is asked. This is the area where we label the objects being questioned. So fasteners, we have zippers and buttons. And this is the number of jackets. So this is asking the kids, how does their jacket get fastened? Well, Ed adds a row to the graph to show jackets with snaps. 2 fewer jackets have snaps than zippers. So this is going to require us doing a little extra work. Okay, so remember, Ed adds a row to the graph to show jackets with snaps. So we need to write snaps. And there are 2 fewer jackets, 2 less jackets than 2 fewer jackets have snaps than zippers. So zippers has 4. 4 minus 2 equals 2. So snaps is going to be colored just like this up to the 2. Okay? So how many jackets have snaps? Well, come to the end of the bar, check out the number that it's there, and the answer is 2.
Fantastic!
Now we're going to delve into our math book. 10.3 you will find on page 587. That's 500s, 8 tens, 7 ones, or 58 tens and 7 ones. 587. Once again, we see the same kind of question that we found at the beginning of our interactive math lesson. So remember our question for today: how can you read a bar graph to find the number that a bar shows? Emma's class made this picture graph. What question could Emma's class answer using the graph? Write the question and the answer. Could be lots of things. I'm interested to see what your questions are. Now, in a bar graph, each bar shows information. You can compare the lengths of the bars. What title describes this graph? So we talked about this on our interactive math lesson. Favorite art tools. All right. So remember, you're going to be using the bar graph to actually answer these questions. How many children chose paintbrushes? Pause the video, come back, look at your book, find paintbrushes. Remember to come to the end of the bar and go straight down and write the number that matches with that line. Come back and press play for number 2. How many children chose crayon? Pause, go back up to your graph, find crayons, go to the end of the bar, and write down the number of how many children chose crayons. Then press play. Number 3, how many more children chose paintbrushes than crayons? How many more children? We've talked about this briefly in the past. So it's important how many more children chose paintbrushes than crayons, right? Paintbrush than crayons. Keyword, how many more? These are really important words. How many more? Paintbrushes than crayons. So I find my paintbrushes. I find my crayons. Well, I can match this one and this one. These are the same right here. This is how many more, or this is how many fewer. So there are this many more children who chose paintbrushes than crayons. Or you take 6 minus the matches. That's 2 matches. 6 minus 2. Solve the problem. Which art tool did the fewest children choose? Go back to your graph, come back, and circle the answer. Number 5, which art tool did the most children choose? Go back, look at your graph, come back, and circle your answer. Now, using bar graphs. This is similar to what we were doing in Math on the Spot and then in our review just before coming into the lesson. Number 6 says, how many children chose car? Find the car, find the end of the bar, and write the answer. How many children chose dump truck? Number 8, how many children in all chose car and dump truck? Remember, the word and is very important with math. It tells us we're adding. So you're going to find how many chose car, how many chose dump truck, and add them together. How many more children chose truck than car? This is similar to what we did above. You can cross out your matches and then look and see what do not have matches. Or you take the number of the truck and you take the number of the car away from it. Number 10, which vehicle did the most children choose? Circle. Number 11, think smarter. Order the vehicles from least to most votes. Least meaning the smallest, 3 meaning the most.